I'm so glad you could join me. Today, I thought we would take a look at this fun book. It is called Baseball Extra, a newspaper history of the glorious game from its beginnings to the present, from the Eric C. Karen collection. This is a collection of newspaper pages that have baseball stats, stories, information on them, but it also has things that were happening during those time periods, basically from a regular newspaper. It has advertisements, and I found it fascinating, some of the things they have in there, but it's also very large, and the print is very small, so I will be wearing some very thick magnifying glasses to be able to read some of the articles to you. So it says, includes the first sports journal devoted to baseball, The Ball Players Chronicle, 1867, 19th century woodcut engraved pictures of players and teams back to 1857, local coverage of the first modern World Series, 1903, Chicago papers reporting the Black Sox scandal, Babe Ruth in Baltimore, Boston, and New York papers, the 1927 Yankees, Negro Leagues, women in baseball, great teams and Hall of Famers from all eras and towns. Like I said, this is a huge, huge book. It's not only large, but it's also quite thick. So, we probably aren't going to get a whole lot of it covered today, but we'll work our way through it. It is fascinating to read old articles written, and it will give you a few chuckles as we're going through as well. Plus, if you're a sports fan, there's not just baseball in here, but other sports as well. It can be fascinating to look back at things, especially at the end of the 19th century, and see what they had to say about baseball. So let's take a look inside. Let's see, this was printed in 2000 by Book Sales Inc., compiled by Eric C. Karen. And the contents actually shows you the dates and the type of newspaper and the article that they're referring to baseball on those newspaper pages. So we have the 1800s, the 1900s, the 1910, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 1990s. So the first page we have Porter's Spirit of the Times, and this is from New York, Saturday, September 12th, 1857. I'm going to move this over so I can read it a little bit easier. And I'm going to put on my thick glasses so that I can read this tiny, tiny print. Let's see, we have Meditations and Confessions of Alphonse de Lamartine in Paris in July. I'm not going to go into that. They dedicated a lot of prints and drawings into the newspapers back then. So here we have two pictures of a baseball match at the Elysian Fields, Hoboken, New York, and kind of have an open field area, and then the spectators are just kind of hanging out around the edges. Oh, okay, The first one is actually a cricket match, and the second one is the baseball match. This is something I noticed that they refer to a lot in this book, is the Champion Nine. Here you have the Champion Nine of the Atlantic Baseball Club of Brooklyn, LI 1865. The Atlantic Baseball Club. We give on this page portraits of the 9 members of the Atlantic Baseball Club in Brooklyn who were engaged in the recent contests for the championship with the members of the Athletic Club of Philadelphia. The 9 of the Atlantic were victors in 2 successive matches, one played in Philadelphia on October 30th, of which we gave an illustration in our last paper. The 9 of the Atlantic were victors in 2 successive matches, one played in Philadelphia October 30th, of which we gave an illustration in our last paper, the other a week later in Brooklyn. This latter established the claim of the Atlantic Club to the championship until some more successful rivals shall arise to dispute it. You have Galvin, Pierce, Crane, C. Smith, Norton, Start, Chapman, Pratt, and S. Smith. And then on the next page, we have a full page of the Athletics of Philadelphia, the Atlantic Baseball Club of Brooklyn, and the Athletic of Philadelphia, photographed by Charles H. Williamson, Brooklyn. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 folks. So each team only has 9. And that was all you dealt with. Flip through, I marked a few things that I thought were somewhat entertaining on some of these pages. Here we have the picked 9 of the Red Stocking Baseball Club, Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati Reds, as they're known now. The Red Stocking Baseball Club, Cincinnati. On the 16th, they beat the Mutuals, and the next day, the Atlantics of Brooklyn. The latter game was won 32-10. If the Red Stockings keep on and hold their own, they will be the champion club before the summer is ended. Hurrah for the Porkapolitans. The Porkapolitans. Let's see, here we have Now Ready, Chadwick's Baseball Manual for 1870. This work, which has been in preparation since the meeting of the National Association last December, is now ready. It is the most exhaustive work on the game ever published and should be in the possession of every baseball player in the country. It contains an editorial preface and introductory, giving a brief sketch of the history of baseball, a complete history of the National Association, detailing its rise, progress, and present position, with a list of all the officers since its formation, and the names of all the delegates who have served on the committees, a review of the season of 1869, the rules and regulations as amended at the last meeting of the National Association, with explanatory notes by the editor, instructive articles on umpires' duties, pitching, batting, fielding, past 10 years, averages of the professional clubs, together with other matter pertaining to the game, which make it the book of the season. Only, I don't know if that's a misprint, but I'm assuming they meant season, but they said sexon. The book is for sale by all new dealers who are requested to send their orders at once to either of the following new companies, and it has a list there. Then they have advertisements for scorecards, good for any game. They have, a club directory, advertisements for baseballs and uniforms and bats, and Ayer's Hair Vigor for the renovation of the hair, the great desideratum of the age. Sporting matters, the Detroit's beaten in the greatest game of ball ever played. 17 innings played without a run being scored. Baseball. The Detroit-Providence game of yesterday is unrivaled in the history of the league, although not in baseball annals. In 1877, the Harvards and Manchesters played a 24-inning game without a run being made. In the same year, the Stars of Syracuse and the St. Louis Browns played a scoreless game of 15 innings. And the Buckeyes and Tecumsehs played a drawn game of 18 innings, the score being 1 each. The league has witnessed some wonderful contests, but nothing like that of yesterday. Soper made a double row of ciphers clear across his blackboard, tacked on a sheet of paper, and had sent for a yard of muslin to stretch across Jefferson Avenue, when the intelligence came that the game had ended and that the unlucky Detroits had lost it. The Free Press special from Providence states that the game eclipsed anything ever before seen there, and was finally won on Redburn's lucky hit over the left field fence, which would have been a sure out at Recreation Park, and was nearly a foul ball. In the 4th inning, with no one out, Hanlon attempted to come home on Powell's single to center field, but was thrown out by Hines. In the 7th, Bennett made a 2-bagger and went to third on a baseball. Trott flew out to right. Knight got a base on called balls. Weedman hit to Farrell, and a double play was made. In 3 other innings, the Detroits led off with hits, but the batsmen following, although they bit hard, failed to find a safe place for the ball and no runs were scored. Double plays being a frequent occurrence. Danny and Farrell made several wonderful stops, else Ward would have been badly punished. Weedman pitched the greatest of games. Twice did the Providence team have a man on third base with no one out, but so skillfully did the kid twirl the ball that the side was put out without a run. In the 16th inning, Wright hit a liner over Wood's head and out of the horse gate, but Wood went outside, caught the ball, and fielded Wright out at the plate. Whitney did great work at shortstop. The following is the score. It looks like they had Detroit totals 59 at bats, no runs, and then Providence at 60 at bats and 1 run. Wow, well, that was a gripping tale. And over here, we have the Providence Baseball Club from a photograph by the Photo Mechanical Printing and Publishing Company, Chicago. So here they are. I'm assuming that's their manager. Yep. Okay, so we have Thomas York, Charles Riley, Paul A. Lines. There's 2 L's. L-L-I-N-E-S, I think. Joseph Start, Jeremiah Denny, Vincent Nava, who kind of looks like he's the little kid that has having to take his picture. Harry Wright is the manager. Charles Radbourne, George Wright, Bernard Gilligan, John Farrell, and J.M. Ward. I think they could have found better situations for a couple of these guys on the ground. They look rather comical. Oh, here we have Harper's Weekly and its champion baseball players. So we have Charles Radbourne, Providence Club, pitcher, photographed by Horton Brothers, Providence. William Ewing, New York Club, catcher. John F. Morrill, Boston Club, first base. John J. Burdock, Boston Club, second base. Edward M. Williamson, Chicago Club, third base. Arthur A. Irwin, Providence Club, shortstop, photographed by Horton Brothers, Providence. Joseph Hornung, Boston Club, left field. George F. Gore, Chicago Club, center field. Michael J. Kelly, Chicago Club, right field. John M. Ward, New York Club, the best base runner, photographed by Horton Brothers, Providence. James H. O'Rourke, champion batsman of the National League for 1884, New York Club. Thomas J. Esterbrook, champion batsman of the American Association for 1884, New York Club. Let's see some advertisements over on this page. We have Extraordinary Bargains, 100 patterns of Bigelow and Lowell Brussels at $1.25 per yard. Being determined to move rapidly a portion of our very large stock of Lowell and Bigelow Brussels, we have devoted one entire room on the first floor to the display of these patterns, all of which are desirable and in the regular standard quality. These patterns we wish to close. Every piece of Lowell Brussels has the name Lowell woven in the back. Many cheap Brussels are being sold as Lowells. We caution the public to take no Brussels said to be Lowell without the name Lowell is woven in the back of every yard. Let's see, then we have special offers for a few days in good second-hand square pianos, which we have taken for exchange for uprights. And I guess if it doesn't work out for you, the next ad is for chopping axes. I guess you can take care of that old piano that didn't meet your standard. We have cardigan jackets. Apollinaris, the queen of table waters. No amount of pure ocean air in the lungs can neutralize the bad effects of polluted water in the stomach. The New York Herald. Well, that would be about appropriate for New York in this time period. I imagine most of the water in New York made you sick. Let's see, we have Edward C. Almy and Company, overcoats. Look out for bargains, no old goods, no last season styles, all new styles, all popular, all desirable goods at reduced prices. Men's overcoats, $5, $6, $7, and $8. The best overcoats are $10. And then they can duplicate any for $15. And do not fail to examine our special custom overcoats, made in the best manner from $18, $20, $22, $25, $28, and $30. They also do suits and boys and children's department as well. The Chicago Baseball Club in Illinois. You got baseball club in the eastern cities of the National League has excited an unusual degree of interest by reason of the active rivalry existing between the leading clubs for the honor of winning the league championship in 1885. And then on the opposite page we have Mazzantini the Bullfighter. Then they have billiards and baseball and gymnastics. It's another very large picture. And this is pretty neat. Looks like a woodcut drawn by Gilbert Gall, thrown out on second. And so you have somebody running for second base. And here's the second baseman with his foot on the base, which looks like a sack of some sort. And he's got his hands open, but no mitts back then. It was, looks like just hands holding stuff. And he's getting ready to catch it. And then you got the person batting up there, and you've got the umpire looking down the line to see if it's going to make it. And the baseball's hanging out in the center. And then quite the crowd is filled out around the back. Here's another interesting picture. This one is of a ladies' baseball match. And so here they are in their dresses, and some of them are wearing hats, caps. They kind of look like old nurses' caps. And they're striped skirts. And this one slid into base before the first base person catches the ball that's been thrown. No mitts for these ladies either. Champions 1894. And we have little sketches of all of the Baltimore Baseball Club players. McGraw, Hawk, Captain Robinson, Clark, Jennings, Gleason, Ritz, McMahon, Kelly, Brody, Keeler, Esper, Brothers, Hemming, and Bonner. Amid fires of victory, Hanlon's champions welcomed by the multitude, thousands applaud. Orioles wheeled in triumph through the city streets. Rooters take the town. Nothing like their demonstration ever seen before. And so then they have a very comical drawing of a typical rooter. So, a superfan, right? He's got his overcoat and tie and his hat. Then he's got his pennant in his hand for the Orioles. Then he's leaping quite a ways off the ground. And over here we have Santa Claus soap. Is not an experiment. It has been tested, and his enormous sale is due solely to its merit. It is made on honor, and good housekeepers say Santa Claus soap is a necessity. Don't let your dealer give you some other kind. The Chicago Tribune is every day sending over 25,000 copies, direct from its own office. News dealers at the lowest trade price. Accounts solicited. Here we have Miss Arlington's tour. The girl pitcher to twirl against professional teams. Miss Lizzie Arlington of this city, who has made such a sensation this season as a baseball player, is to make show the professional players that the woman that can throw straight has at last been discovered. On Saturday, she will be a member of the Philadelphia Reserves. Oh my goodness. Thank God they finally found a woman who can throw straight. Oh my goodness. Makes me laugh. And this one's from the Detroit Journal from January 29th, 1901. Funeral of the Queen is rehearsed. Osborne pallbearers tug at a dummy coffin containing half a ton of sand. Princes impersonated in London parade. Mounted men represent the king, Kaiser, and others. The 8 horses that will draw the gun carriage bearing the coffin drag a truck of equal weight through the streets. They had to say again, the outer coffin for the Queen arrived last night. The non-commissioned officers detailed to carry the coffin rehearsed today, with a dummy coffin filled with sand and weighing over half a ton. I think if I were the Queen, I'd be offended. This morning, there was a rehearsal along the route of the funeral procession. The 8 Hanoverian horses which will draw the gun carriage took a heavily laden brake, estimated to be of the weight of the gun carriage and coffin, over the route. Numerous carriages followed, and a number of mounted men, representing the foreign princes and others who will ride in the procession. It has been arranged that the Eton boys will line the route from the Long Walk gates to Windsor Castle. General Alger was out for a short drive. General Russell A. Alger is slowly recovering from the effects of his late illness. He was outdoors yesterday for the first time since he was taken ill. Wow, you must be very important to get a little snippet in the paper about being out and about so they all know you didn't die. What else do we have here? We have Cuban bonds trying to be sold to Congress. Possible revolution in fuel problem. Important experiments are about to be made at Michigan Portland Cement Plant. September 21st, 1903. Chicago's group of lively cubs. And then down here we have a photo of McGraw's band of Gotham Giants for New York. And apparently at this time, blood poisoning was a big deal. There I've seen several ads in here. And it says the greatest blessing of the 19th century was the discovery of the serum toxin treatment for blood poison. In the 20th century, men and women stricken with this awful disease are being cured by the International Serum Toxin Company. Cured. Think what that means. It does not mean the smothering of a few sores. It does not mean the temporary false security of the hot springs or old-time mercurial treatments. It means cured and forever. Come today and talk to our patients, most of them the discouraged graduates of other treatments. If you can't come, write for Hope, a treatise telling of the only cure on earth for blood poison. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hours, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Evenings, 6:30 to 8 p.m. Sundays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you could go every day. Here we have another blood poison. I found this ad pretty funny. Here, pull this down. autumn drawing near, gloom for you. No, make it cheer. Every autumn day grows dearer. Sunshine comes with this pure beer. The Pittsburgh Brewing Company's beer pierces gloom and brings sunshine into the lives of those whose petty ills make them look at the dark side of things. Ask for Wainwright Keystone, Iron City, Phoenix. And after you're done with your beer, weak men, read. Are you suffering from nervous weakness, kidney, liver, or stomach complaints, rheumatism, lame back, pains or aches, feeble and old too soon? I can guarantee you a cure if you use Dr. McLaughlin's electric belt. Wear my appliance while you sleep, and in the morning you will awake feeling years younger than when you went to bed. A few weeks' wear will give you a new lease of life. Call and see me, or send for my book, Giving Price and Testimonials of the Cured. It's sent free and sealed. Also in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Talks about playing the races. Dr. Williams and Company, all men's diseases permanently cured. So here we have more baseball, folks. Okay. Waddell liked his new uniform. Wore his first one all Saturday night and all Sunday up in Butler. Up in Butler, they're telling news stories daily about Ruby Waddell, who is now a full-fledged actor. The latest one to come out has reached the Dispatch by mail through a friend from Sharon, Pennsylvania, who claims to be a close friend of the man who first played Waddell in a ball game at Butler. Years ago, when Rube was an awkward farm boy, he went to see a baseball game on the outskirts of Butler, and before the game opened, he got on the field and began tossing the ball around. His arm was very strong, even for a farmer lad, and he could throw the ball hard and far. The manager of the little Butler team needed one with a good arm for middle field, and he asked Rube to come and play with him the following Saturday. "Will I get one of them suits?" said Rube, pointing to a player in uniform. "Yes," said the manager. "All right, I'll come," said Rube. And he did. The delight of Waddell when he got into the suit was amusing. He played the game out and did well, but when it came time to take the suit off, Rube rebelled. No, sirree, that suit would stay where it was. He would not be bun-combed. So, in spite of the pleadings and tears of the manager, Rube kept the uniform on, not only all that Saturday night, but all the following day Sunday. It was some time after that before his manager permitted Rube to put on the uniform again. He feared that he might never get it back. Oh my goodness. Here's another entertaining ad. This one says, "Your own fault. Only yourself to blame if you get poor ale, because Frank Jones ale costs only a nickel and is on sale everywhere at the Sign of the Shield. Frank Jones, Portsmouth Ales." We have a cartoon up here. 2 dull, sickening thuds and farewell, St. Louis. I guess he's hung the crepe on that. Got a 3-bagger on the bat. When Bill Sweeney cleaned the circuit with a beauteous wallop in the second inning, Game 1, the Sioux grew cold for St. Louis. This way to the fertilizer factory. Nope, that riot reported was not at the Walpole State grounds. And here's St. Louis getting walloped on the head by the Doves. And it says, "Now will you behave?" Twice in the same place. Oh my goodness, that's incredibly funny. Baby found in a barrel on historic Beacon Hill. Abandoned on Beacon Hill Within a stone's throw of Boston's most historic homes, a baby girl was found about 7 p.m. yesterday by the residents of Mount Vernon Place. The child's cries attracted the occupants of 5 Mount Vernon Place, and being repeated and continued with considerable vigor led to an investigation. Men and women rushed from their rooms, and when opposite number 14 were moved with pity and horror to discover that the author of the outcry was an infant doubled up in an ash barrel. The mite was about 6 weeks old, as pretty as a picture and well, and beautifully dressed in white, with a costly lace cap on its little head. One of the women took the little one from a well-meaning but unexperienced man, whose handling of the foundling terrified instead of soothed her. But the tears soon ceased when the baby found she was in the arms of the right sex again. Smiles adorned the little mouth, and laughter danced in the dark blue eyes. Officers of Street 3 responded to a telephone call, and there was a muttered imprecation or two for the heartless one man or woman who had left the infant to the mercies of the unsmiling skies and a proverbially cold world. Baby was taken to the Chardonnay home. So this is from New York, Saturday, October 14th, 1905. Giants win the series. 5th game decides World's Baseball Championship. Star pitchers battle. Mathewson and Bender, the Redskin, do the twirling. Polo grounds jammed. Crowd in attendance estimated at nearly 30,000. And it looks like New York handed it to the Athletics because the Athletics had no runs. 5 lost off ship at sea, swept from the Campania in mid-ocean. Liner is hard hit. So much fascinating stuff in here. We'll definitely have to take a look at this again at some point. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at the baseball extra for a little look into the past. Old newspaper clippings and stories and advertisements. As always, I hope you're taking care of yourself and sleep